Well, 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 would you look at this? This is my surprise face and my shocked face. MEPs vote against amendment to ban EU governments from spying on journalists. See it? Shocked face. I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised that governments want to still be able to spy on journalists. It's wild, that, isn't it? Politicians opt for change they say amounts to de facto ban on spyware, but free speech campaigners dispute the claim. An attempt to stop EU governments from being able to insert spyware on journalists' phones on the grounds of national security is dead, campaigners have said, after a vote in the European Parliament on new media laws. I know exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about NSO Group's Pegasus spyware. Basically, if you are a political dissident or you are a person of interest to your government, NSO Group are based in Israel. Crazy that, isn't it? And basically, they get hired by governments all around the world. It's mostly like the dodgy governments and everything, you know, a lot of the Southeast Asian places, a lot of African countries and stuff like that. I think a single license of Pegasus costs $250,000, but they do all the legwork and they'll be able to infect the target's phone for you. Egypt recently got caught doing it as well. But EU companies, yeah, they use it. They use Pegasus. British government's been caught using it as well. And it's a scary one because Pegasus is seen as the creme de la creme of spyware, where basically you don't have to do anything. It's Pegasus, the company, specifically look for zero-click exploits. So see how for 99 times out of 100, you have to be dumb and go, oh, look, a zip file, woo, like open it, you have to be dumb, right, to get infected, right? But with NSO Group, they'll find a way where it's just like a specially crafted text that contains a little image, a little web. The recent one was a WebP file, which had some code in it, where as soon as you received it, zero click, you didn't, and just by receiving the message, that was it, your phone was infected. But the reason is that's classed as a class 10 vulnerability, and the problem is that governments get right the fuck on top of that because, you know, we all use like iPhones or Androids and stuff like that, but so do the government, you know, so does Biden, so does FBI agents, so does people that work at the NSA. So governments start to panic and they go Apple, Android, Samsung, patch that shit right fucking now, and they freak out about it. And other because it can be used for other nefarious means. So that I believe that's what they're talking about. But Pegasus and NSO Group aren't the only ones. MEPs voted against an amendment to scrap the right to surveil journalists in the European Media Freedom Act in Strasbourg on Tuesday, pitting themselves against free speech campaigners. Now, I, like the rest of us, I don't like journalists. I think journalists are absolute subhuman vermin. Right? I think they're absolutely awful, rotten, terrible creatures that would happily destroy the life of some random little poor guy that they don't know just so that they can make make a little bit of money to pay for an extra month on that little shitty studio apartment. Right? Journalists live on the misery of others. They will happily destroy a person's reputation so that they can earn money. And that is why I think they are such awful people. However, them being people means that they are entitled to the exact same human rights as everybody else, unfortunately. Remember what I said about human rights. When you defend human rights, you'll very often find yourself defending absolute cretins. Unfortunately, journalists also fall into that category. Instead, they opted for an amendment they said amounted to a de facto ban on spyware. The new spyware clause includes safeguards forcing national authorities to guarantee confidentiality of journalistic sources. MEPs have argued that because spyware is indiscriminate and will sweep up all data, personal and professional, on a phone, no authority will ever be able to use the software under these new laws, as they will not be able to preserve confidentiality of a journalist's phone. Spyware would be placed on journalists' phones by security agencies if a national government thought it was necessary. Why would they think it was necessary? This government pointed out some illegal shit we did, so we're going to do some illegal shit and spy on them. Like, by the way, that's literally the reason. That's the reason. If you're pointing out dodgy shit the government's doing, see if you ever get a random text from just a random number or like a weird email containing a weird image. Yeah, and also, by the way, spyware, it's that advanced that whatever fucking spyware shit. See, because most spyware that your firewall and stuff like your antivirus programs pick up is shit that's all over the place, all out there. They've got a sample to work from, they update that in the database, and that's how it detects it on your computer. Pegasus doesn't have that. It's rare, it's unique, it's precision, right? Getting an actual copy of Pegasus is pretty difficult. That's why they say Pegasus don't give you, the client, or here's a copy of the program. Pegasus go, okay, we will infect the target. and then we will pass the information on to you. That's what they do. And all that. That's why, so see if you've got it on your, oh, I've got great antivirus, it won't detect Pegasus. It won't. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. Pretty scary, pretty terrifying. Although I do think it is hilarious that some poor little bastard in Israel has to go through my 1,500 gigabytes of footer porn. I'm kidding on. I don't download porn. I'm not a barbarian. This is the age of streaming. Who downloads porn? I actually barely look at porn now. I feel like I've kind of destroyed like my image. Everyone's like, oh, he's the trap lover and he likes footaboo and all that stuff. And then I've kind of looked at myself recently and went, not anymore, actually. Like, I don't do any of that shit anymore. It's weird. It's weird what having kids does to you. Seriously, it's weird. Like, just like shit just stops. And you don't realise it stops. It's odd. Go out and have kids. Go out and have kids. It'll just automatically make you a better person. When it comes to investigations related to the professional life and activity of journalists, this is a ban, Ramona Strugariu. I think I did that correctly, actually. The opinion rapporteur on the bill in Parliament said after the vote on Tuesday. Under the text, such measures such as spyware could not be deployed when the investigations led by the law enforcement are not related to the professional work of journalists. Therefore, the use of spyware is effectively banned in investigations that concern the professional work of media service providers and their employees. But campaigners warned that even with the safeguards, national security and police will be tempted to abuse the legislation without regard to journalist sources. As strong as the legal safeguards are going to be, they are never going to be strong enough because that is what experience tells us. There are many examples across Europe where rights are abused, said Chloe Bethel, I'm not pronouncing that, a senior policy advisor at European Digital Rights, an association of civil and human rights organisations. Excuse me, it is going to be hard now to change this. Getting a full ban on spyware is basically dead now, she said. They did a little bit of legalese, a little bit of legislative tomfoolery to kind of go, yeah, it's banned, but not really. That's what they've done. She said the European Parliament missed a unique opportunity to protect journalists against abusive state surveillance using nefarious spy tools. Recent scandals in France involving the surveillance and prosecution of several investigative journalists are a foretaste of future abuses across the EU. Basically, they want to be able to see this whole thing. Oh, the government doesn't spy on you unless they've got a warrant. Shite. Just shit. Basically, if you're right wing and you're online and posting pepes and shit like that, always, whenever you're using any electronic device, conduct yourself as if you're being watched. Even if you've got a burner phone, that's the way to conduct yourself. Just conduct yourself as if you're being watched all the time. Strugario said that the constructive criticism from campaigners and the journalistic community made for stronger legislation, and she was confident that MEPs now had a good solid text that would protect journalists. No, it won't. Sabine Verheyen, the lead rapporteur on the draft legislation in European Parliament, said the resounding vote on the amended text, which also covers editorial independence, media ownership and pluralism, was a milestone. Today, the Parliament has demonstrated its strong commitment to the protection of free media, she said at a press conference after the vote, even though it kind of made it still technically allowed to spy on journalists. The legislation also includes fresh tests in relation to acquisitions and mergers, transparency and media independence. As someone who has actually been in Strasbourg and seen these votes go down, the MEPs who vote on this legislation don't even read the legislation. It's drafted up by little dark shadowy people and they make it vague as hell so that they've got a lot of wiggle room whenever it comes time to implement such legislation. Yeah, they don't even read it. They don't even read it. MEPs don't even read the stuff they're voting in, and people are still trying to tell you that democracy works. But yeah, this whole, we've totally banned spying on journalists. I know, that's a lot of shite. They're going to still continue to keep doing it. It's just going to carry on. Hey, it's governments, it's what they do.